The 3WideRacing Cup Series started their season back in March, and now it's finally time to get down to the playoffs here in the RaceKings Cup Series. Last week we ran our first of 6 playoff rounds at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's the second round, and next round we eliminate 6 drivers in our quest to the championship. Taking a look at the playoff situation. After race 1 of 6, Chad Frankenfield has advanced to the next round. Justin Kolb, Gruenberg, Lightle, and Hinds all find themselves above the cutoff point for next week's round, but Kyle Hanshaw, Acosta, Thomas, Close, Lafferty, and Finn all sit below the cutoff round and heading into what is perhaps the most feared track on the schedule. Talladega Superspeedway, a 2.66 mile superspeedway that everybody dreads coming here because it takes a lot more than just skill to finish well here, Finian. It's sometimes just about luck.
Yeah, that's really going to be the big thing as we look at the playoff grid. Chad Frankfield's win from last week will move on to the next round. That means 2 other drivers have a chance of locking their spot in, and that can be pretty big because, again, we have 11 other drivers on this grid here with a relatively small field by 3-wide standards here tonight. So any one of those drivers could be walking home with a win and clinching a spot into the final round, a 3-race final round of the playoffs. So that could be really big for some guys towards the back.
So drivers qualifying right now for the second round of the playoffs here at Talladega Superspeedway. And you see the playoff cutoff line there on the bottom left hand of the ticker. Of course, Tate Lightle and Richard Hinds above it, 7 and 4 points respectively. But Hanshaw and Acosta buried below it right now. Some other drivers below the cut line, but those are just the ones near it. But everyone could, with the exception of Chad Frankenfield, could swing wildly in the points tonight. No one is safe coming into this evening, Finian. And you know what that means? If you get involved in a big one, your playoff hopes aren't necessarily over, but severely dashed, even if you're second, like Justin Kolb is coming into the night.
Yeah, and we really saw that in last night, too, with most of the field getting involved in an incident and only having 4 trucks crossing the finish line unscathed, relatively unscathed at least. So I definitely think I don't think we're necessarily going to see something like that tonight, but it definitely does show at Talladega or even Daytona for that matter. No driver is safe, and, even guys like Matt Gruenberg, might see him pull off the same strategy we saw him pull last night, just stay out of the incidents the whole race and then come back at the end.
So one driver that is actually new this evening to the RaceKings Cup Series, at least in this car, is Robert Hill Jr. filling in for Levi Zielinski's number 6 machine. Got the Post-it livery on board the car and got his name on or above the window net tonight. So Robert Hill Jr. last night didn't have the night he wanted, but we know he's so talented and a winner in the Truck Series this year. We'll see if he can make himself a Cup Series winner in a start late in the season this year. So we'll see as he crosses the line. He was 4th on his first qualifying lap. How is he going to be for qualifying this time? My question to you, Finian, is does qualifying matter at all before this 94-lap race?
Oh, honestly, not really that much. With 94 laps, it's a large distance to cover. It's, I think, almost 200 miles, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a long way. It's a lot of miles to cover.
So it's a very long distance in this race, and especially with this Cup package. If it was the other Cup package, I would have said qualifying absolutely mattered because it was very hard for forward mobility with there. But with this new package here on the super speedways, it's very easy to get up to speed, get a draft off the guys ahead of you, and make passes almost by yourself too. So it's incredible how much that this package kind of returned to the old version, where qualifying doesn't really matter. You just got to really watch yourself during the race.
Kyle Hanshaw in the number 46 car. He sits below the cutoff line coming into the night in his Toyota Camry, riding on board the gyro cam as we head up into turn 3. The banking here over 30 degrees. You get to hold that throttle flat to the floor, but the challenges of this new aero package, I guess you could call them challenges, but really they're more benefits. The increased drafting of these cars compared to the 2018-2017 package. Finian, how will that affect our racing tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wild and chaotic, which is definitely saying something because we saw some 4-wide action tonight. Maybe we can try to one-up that, go 5-wide tonight. Hanshaw. Don't know how that's going to fare out. That could be pretty bad.
Hanshaw shuts off his motor. Second place in the number 46, and that'll put him with a 52.538, which is just shy, about a 100th of a second off of Drew Eisenman in the 77 making an appearance here. So qualifying is complete, and only 8 drivers took times, and that doesn't surprise me at all here, Finian. The problem is, though, for me, is that you might try to go to the back to save yourself some time, but everyone's going to be doing that strategy tonight. There's not going to be a back. So I guess my only thought is if you want to escape the wrecks, I would just go to the front because everyone's going to try to be safe, and that might not be the safest place to be.
Yeah, it's really one of those situations where it's not necessarily something that's set in stone. As far as a safest part of the track, it really depends on what all the other drivers are doing. Because, like you said, yeah, a lot of guys could end up dropping back and forming another pack behind the leaders, and that's where we could see a wreck happening. So you never really do know it. It's really this race in general is a matter of keeping your head on your shoulders and just being aware of your surroundings.
You mentioned earlier tonight that qualifying not going to be a huge deal. You also mentioned that it's a pretty small field by 3-wide standards, only 21 cars. So last night we started with 22, ended up with 4 trucks crossing the finish line after what was a very tumultuous Talladega race. Are we going to see a different race tonight, and why?
I honestly can't answer that question. It really is kind of down to the drivers because last night we had a decent amount of, I think, only 4 cautions the entire night, so which is par for the course. But considering the relatively low car count at 22, and also just the fact that almost every single wreck, except for me, the first one was a pretty big wreck taking out multiple competitors. We saw a very low amount of drivers crossing the line, so it could, it really depends. We might not even have a caution this race. Might have a few. That might take out half the field. So really, you never do know, and I think that's the big thing worrying quite a few drivers going to this race.
So I'm taking a look at Matt Gruenberg in the 54 car, another driver that's won a bunch of races this season, Finney, but he sits 3rd in the standings. That's not too bad, but he's only 8 points above the cut line. If he gets in a wreck tonight, he's going to have to really work his way in next week. So there's no safe place for Matt Gruenberg. He's going to have to play this race well enough that he doesn't get himself taken out. If Matt Gruenberg wrecks tonight, his championship hopes could be over, and that really leaves everyone squarely in the hands of Chad Frankenfield as the championship favorite. He was starting right behind him in the number 15 Steelmaster car. So field rolling off of their one pace lap here. Let's take a look at our starting lineup here tonight. 94 laps around Talladega Superspeedway. Our front row, Drew Eisenman from Texas alongside Kyle Hanshaw from Ohio. And that is a Chevrolet Camaro out front right alongside Hanshaw's, or actually that's a Mustang out front alongside Hanshaw's Toyota Camry. Row 2, Dave Hunt and his number 53 Camaro. He's all the way from California. Johnny Thomas, another driver in the outside lane from Ohio, and his Chevrolet Camaro. Row number 3, Kevin Finn, Robert Hill Jr. Finn from New England. Robert Hill Jr. filling in for Levi Zielinski from Canada, driving an American flag-covered car tonight with that post-it note scheme. Corey Lindsay in 7th place alongside James Miller in the number 42 car. Of course, Corey Lindsay involved in the big one last night. We'll see if he can redeem himself this evening in that 00. Gruenberg, one of the drivers that's won the most races this season, sits 9th alongside Chuck Sweeting in the number 26. Sweeting did not actually take the grid here, Finian. Chad Frankenfield in 11th in his number 15 has won the most races, is locked into the next round of the playoffs. He can take it easy tonight. And Sam Close starts on the outside of him. Tate Lightle, 13th. Josh Adams in 14th. Lightle all the way from the Northwest. Josh Adams from Ohio. A lot of Ohioans here tonight. And back last couple rows, Justin Kolb, another playoff driver with the blue on the side of his number 52. And, of course, from there on back, it gets a little bit backwards because one of the administrators, Tyler Lightsey, is listed here on the starting grid. So 21 cars in the field for the evening. And as we were reminded, Finian, to finish first, you must first finish. What's your strategy tonight? What's your plan?
I'm going to immediately hit the brakes on lap 1 and drop to the back, and I imagine Matt Gruenberg is definitely going to do that strategy. No point in risking it. These 3 races don't entirely matter for him as far as finishing up towards the front. It's more of a matter of, like you're saying, pretty much just finishing the race is, I think, going to be the key. So I imagine him and his teammate, James Miller, are going to jump to the back, as well as a few others, the guys further up, just trying to ensure that they make it to the finish line.
Of course, the start-finish line here very far along the super speedway here. You see the cars just entering the tri-oval, but the start-finish line all the way on the right bezel of your screen, and that's where we're going to be starting and finishing this event. But it's the 77 of Drew Eisenman and the Eisen Design-sponsored 77 Ford Mustang. He's on pole. Kyle Hanshaw, who just scraped his way into the playoffs a couple weeks ago at Myrtle Beach, on the outside of that front row. Can he go for a victory tonight? Green flag flies, racing at Talladega.
Pretty solid start for both lanes. Johnny Thomas immediately giving a push to Kyle Hanshaw on the outside, hitting Hanshaw particularly early on.
And doubling up here, Fitting, how much will we see racing towards the front? How much will we see drivers hanging out at the back? We're not quite sure yet. The 83 of Johnny Thomas, he was our winner last night in his JTR Carhartt-sponsored Chevrolet Silverado, and we know he's so talented at these restrictor plate racetracks, pushing the 46 side by side off into turn 3, racing at the front.
see those two cars alone on the outside there. They might need some extra help, and here, actually, speaking of which, here comes Sam Close in the background.
42 of James Miller backing out, going to join his teammates towards the rear of the field here, but Dave Hunt in the 53 swings to the outside in front of the 46 of Kyle Hanshaw. They're dead even coming through the tri-oval to complete lap number 1. And who's going to lead the first lap? Eisenman has it for now at the start-finish line. It will still be the 77. Eisenman leads, and Dave Hunt's going to get put in the sucker hole on lap number 1.
Here we go, 3 wide for the first time tonight, wasting no time. Hanshaw and Thomas on the outside, of 53 in the middle.
Yeah, really no help right there. The 5 of Sam closes. Behind him, there's Josh Adams in the 95, one of the drivers that finished last night in the Truck Series race. But this front pack had about 10 cars in it. And Hanshaw getting another solid run from the 83. And we saw those trucks working together quite a bit last night as well. So we'll see if they'll work together in their cars tonight. Right now, Robert Hill Jr. in the 6 up to 3rd place. He's pushing the issue with Kevin Finn, dragging right up to the back of the 77. And we'll see if they sit in line here or if they'll get racy. Corey Lindsay in the 00 sits 5th place right now, driving on the bottom of the racetrack in a slot in line. We might see this single file out. We typically don't see single file action in plate races, at least not anymore like we used to with the older package. You see a couple more cars pulling off in the background. That is the 15 of Chad Frankenfield jumping below the yellow line in the background and just trying to get out of harm's way because maybe he doesn't like what he's seeing up the road here. Funny, it doesn't look that scary right now, but things can change very quickly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the concern for a lot of these drivers, especially once the field kind of accordions back together. It's a little bit separated from that initial start, but they're all starting to close back in on each other. I think that's what he's just a little bit scared of.
This race is not a short one if we go green all the way to the end. It's an hour and 16 minutes away is that checkered flag, so it's a long race, one of endurance here at Talladega, so everyone's going to have to be careful that long tonight. Working their way through turns 1 and 2, the high banks. 21 cars, or 20 of them rather, took the green flag. Chuck Sweeting started at the rear of the field. He's already 40 seconds back and in danger of going a lap down here early, Finnegan, so not a good start for the 26.
Yeah, not a good start. Hopefully he can get a caution to get himself back into this race. But yeah, it's a fortunate start for the 26, already on the back foot.
Kevin Finn locked up on the rear bumper of his fellow Mustang. Robert Hill Jr. jumps to the outside lane in front of Dave Hunt. And Dave Hunt last night was running up front a lot more than we usually see Dave Hunt. So he was really pushing last night. Had a decent run until he got involved in an accident later in the race. Already looking really racy up here tonight. And you know what I liked about Dave Hunt, Finnegan, is that he was so stable last night. Didn't make anybody nervous, didn't make any crazy moves. Was just up there helping and pushing. And I think people are going to gain trust in the 53, especially after last night.
And he's running pretty well so far. Currently second car on the outside row and staying up there. I thought he would have dropped to the back when he's in the middle 3 wide, but kept his foot in it and is still towards the front of the field. So that 53 might be a guy to watch when the night's over.
Again, the cyan blue numbers of the drivers in the playoffs. And, of course, after 3 races of the 6 playoff rounds, we're going to eliminate 6 of the 12 drivers and send the rest on to really challenge for the championship. So Drew Eisenman now on the inside lane. He's led the first 5 laps of this one. Can he lead the 5th lap all the way through? Because here comes Robert Hill Jr. Pulls dead even with them through the tri-oval. And as we get to the start-finish line, dead even. Who leads it this time through? Robert Hill Jr. by a nose.
Yeah, by 0.04 of a second at the line. So very close margins there as the field's racing on. They're going to catch Chuck Sweeting, who's pulling out of the way.
Yeah, so Sweeting going to pull off the side to the side of the racetrack, let the field on through. This was a trouble spot last night. Getting by lap traffic was a challenge. We saw that when Matt Gruenberg and his teammates got caught. That's when we triggered one of the bigger accidents we saw in the evening. But it looks like Chuck Sweeting is going to stay well out of the way. And here goes the field on the inside. He should be able to latch on. The draft is a lot stronger than it used to be, so he should be able to tack right onto the end of this field and actually hang on and hopefully get that free pass if a caution were to come out. So it looks like the front is single filed out. Robert Hill Jr. drops in front of Drew Eisenman in the 77. Drew's pushing really hard on the rear bumper down into turn number 1. And we saw last night a couple issues from drivers offsetting the bumpers and pushing incorrectly. So really, what's the strategy with pushing here? How much can you push without getting the guy in front of you out of shape?
Yeah, I think really the best method is to really just push on the straightaways. Not so much in the corners. You definitely can, but I mean, there's really not much of a point in doing so. with this package. I think it's just a little bit unnecessary. And that's where we usually see a lot of the wrecks happen, guys pushing in the corners sometimes. So for the most part, these guys are pretty much following that, the wind to come straightaways and then pushing down, and it's Drew Eisenman pulls out a line trying to pass.
Whoa, the 14 to Kevin Finn. He got loose off the bumper of the 5 there. That was a scary moment. And now the 5 of Sam Close pushed out middle or outside 3 wide as Dave Hunt fills the gap through the middle. And Sam will probably have to back out of this and slot back in line. But that's what we were talking about. The pushing maybe a bit unnecessary, maybe a bit aggressive for lap number 8. But again, this seems like a long race, but and it's going to feel like a long race for the drivers. But you also have to keep an eye on the number of laps that you've run. You have to keep an eye on your fuel tank as well, because if this race goes green for a long time, we got green flag pit stops. We've seen in the past the green flag pit stops often trigger a lot of mistakes coming down onto the pit lane. Through 3 and 4. Now Eisenman up to the top of the racetrack and covering the 14 to Kevin Finn. And Robert Hill Jr.'s got the 00 of Corey Lindsay and that Exalta, that blue, red, and really rainbow 00 in the inside lane, pushing him. And Richard Hinds in the 2. And this is a guy I'm telling you to watch out for tonight, because last night and really all season in both series, he's been spectacular at missing the accidents. And tonight, that might prove to be a very, very good skill to have in that number 2.
Yeah, you almost have to have sixth sense as far as, where's the wreck going to happen. It's obviously hard to predict, but, you kind of have to watch. Our guys getting a little bit squirrely, maybe getting 3 wide, maybe 4 wide. You might want to back out just a little bit and prepare for a wreck that happens. That's a big skill that you can bring into these super speedway races.
Working our way towards lap number 10 already, so we've ticked off 10 laps without any issues. Let's take a look at our race information so far. Only 2 lead changes, Finian. Typically, we've seen this package be a bit more racy at the front, but I think drivers may be being a little extra careful after last night. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing. I think a lot of guys, realize after 4 guys came across the line, should probably turn it down a notch. And I think, I see that. I think Richard Hinds got a little bit loose there.
Yeah, he hit the apron. We were watching the digger cam as he did that, so got the left front tire on that apron. Josh Adams slots in line in the bottom, and now we're seeing that bottom line kind of beginning to populate with more cars, and the outside only has 5 now, and I do think we're going to see another car peel off. That's the 14 of Kevin Finn, drops to the inside, and Drew Eisenman cleverly and wisely, Robert Hill Jr. sideways, and he's going to get down on the apron and try to save that car, but that tells me, Finian, that maybe it's a bit looser out there than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, it is 127 degrees on the track, similar to what these guys were racing in last night.
I just pulled up that temperature right as you mentioned that, and it is pretty hot, but that is kind of fracturing the field towards the rear here, and Hill's gonna have to get back in line and really start his contest back up to get back up towards the front of the field. But Kevin Finn right now is looking really solid. He's been good so far. He's got the 77 lashed on his rear bumper right now, but Drew Eisenman's been pushing quite a bit, and I just see this being a mistake before it helps him out a whole lot. So keep an eye on the front bumper of that 77 as we go through this race.
Yeah, the other thing to keep track of too, we say it every time, is keep an eye on your oil temps, because those things will skyrocket when you're right in behind someone.
The 00 loose that time through. Turn 3 is really slippery right now, and I think this is going to be our trouble spot. I predict right now as Frank Sims gets loose out of turn 4. These drivers are really struggling with the handling of these race cars. That's not what I would have expected to see 11 laps into the race, but I think tire wear might be an issue tonight. I mean, we're seeing drivers get loose already, only 11 laps into a run.
I think that's really its goal. It's going to be a matter of making fine input to make sure you're not jerking the wheel in the corners or making immediate movements, because that's where we're going to see guys start to break loose like we're seeing some of the guys early on.
Onto the back straightaway now, 12 laps complete of 94. And a couple of drivers have slipped towards the back that are notable. Let's check in with the 46 Kyle Hanshaw. He sits 14th. Johnny Thomas, last night's winner, is 13th right now. Chad Frankenfield 15th, and we have to jump back to 11th to find Matt Gruenberg. Right now, not running near his teammates, just behind this main pack. But I fear for the 54 because he's got cars behind him and cars in front of him, Finian. If there's a wreck up front, I don't know if you can trust everybody behind you to get stopped in time, so that's still a risky spot.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to hope that nothing bad happens to him, and it's just maintaining enough distance from the lead pack that if something happens, he could try to react. But yeah, like you said, he's got guys in behind him that could potentially end up taking him out if a wreck does happen. So you never do know, and I think he's just hoping that he's found the safe spot on the track.
Sam Close in the 5 working his way forward, pushing the 53 of Dave Hunt. That's about a 5-mile-an-hour difference they have, and we'll see if they can carry the momentum all the way to the top spot And Dave Hunt stalls out right as he pulls even with the 14.
Yeah, and Robert Hill Jr., he's rejoined this pack and immediately trying to get back to where he was before his little incident.
He's got a fast race car, as does everybody, obviously, but he's just been placing it in the right spots, Finian. I mean, he's been putting the car exactly where he needs to be, and he obviously got loose, but I think everyone's dealing with that as Drew Eisenman took a look to the inside of Kevin Finn, but thought better of it. We'll tuck back in line before they get down to turn 1. So, green flag pit stops, is that going to be a challenge tonight, and why is that the case over any other racetrack?
Yeah, I think it really is just a matter of, getting these cars slowed down and also making sure you don't get a run over from behind. So you got to be calling it out on the radio, preferably calling it out on the radio, saying that you're coming into pit and standing your attention. That way the guys behind you know that you're coming to the pits and don't run you over. And then also the big thing is getting these cars going 200 miles an hour out of the corners, getting them down to what I believe is 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, so the real problem with pitting under green at restrictor plate racetracks is that to reduce weight, all the teams run smaller brake rotors and brake pads because you don't really need to use the brakes all that much at plate tracks. So that means that your braking performance is pretty much non-existent when compared to a road course or a short track. And so when you get down to pit road speed, you're going to be locking up your rear brakes, maybe wheel hopping quite a bit. So if you're pushing the issue on entry, you could spin yourself out. We saw a lot of that at Daytona earlier this year.
Yeah, and also the big thing too with those small brake pads is getting into your pit box too. A lot of guys forget how bad those brakes are, and they might end up overshooting their pit stall. That's huge here because if you miss your stall and spend a few seconds trying to get back in it, you can easily lose the draft.
Couple cars,
that could be devastating for your race.
Couple cars wobbling back and forth a little bit. We have to mention the Fives sponsor here, Sam Close. He's been running this scheme for a while, but this is actually a book I believe his dad wrote. And he actually just has gone on sale. So I believe Sam Close has posted a Twitter link about this. Barnyard to the Brickyard, the Rich Bickle story, and it's got a foreword by Mike Martin with the seal on the side there. So I don't have the link to it, but somebody should post that in there because it's a pretty cool story for Sam Close. He's been running that scheme all year. I don't think we've really mentioned it though. So running 5th right now as there's a bit of a shuffle at the front of the field. 3 wide as Josh Adams on the bottom, Eisenman in the middle, and the 53 of Hunt on the outside, wobbling back and forth, and a push there mid-corner from the 5 of Sam Close.
Yeah, this really sucks for Sam Close because he wants to make a push on the 53, but knows that he could easily end up turning him around or turning both of them around by doing so. But here you see him get a huge run out of the corner on the straightaway.
And Josh Adams on the inside is going to get cleared here as the drivers push and shove. And the 77 and 14 are most definitely working together. That's been the case so far tonight. Dave Hunt has been willing to work with pretty much everybody, although right now the 5's going to ditch him to go middle of the racetrack and try to pull to the inside lane, but Josh Adams filled the hole, and it leaves both the 5 and the 53 with no help. So how much is Drew Eisenman overheating that engine? It looks like he has to back off already. These engines will heat up really quickly, so you can't push for too long. You have to back off, get some air to that radiator. And of course...
Whoa, Frank Sims got really loose up top.
Yeah, you see that once the 77 backs off just a touch, you can see there's really not... Well, this isn't great because he's pushing right now, but there's really not a whole lot of grill intake. There it is right there on the bottom. There's not a whole lot of intake on that grill. It's covered up about 3/4 of the way, so there's not a lot of air going into the motor. And so when you cover that with the rear bumper of the driver in front of you, you're significantly going to heat up your motor and reduce your horsepower as well as potentially overheat it. So be careful. It's a long race. Got to maintain your stuff.
Yeah, and so far it looks like he's doing a pretty good job at it. The engine hasn't blown quite yet, but we have seen a few drivers blow their engines in different series with this Cup package. So
we saw that
definitely want to keep an eye on that tag.
In Fuel at Daytona this year, I think they had that.
Yeah.
Or was it this season, or was it?
I'm pretty sure it was this season. Yeah, I remember it being raced, and I didn't remember what two exactly. But yeah, I think we saw 2 or 3 guys blowing their engines due to overheating.
Yes, it happened a few times, and it's not hard to do. And honestly, even if your gauge isn't red hot, if you just keep it near that red hot temp all race, you can still end up hurting it. So gotta be cautious of that. Sam Close really being aggressive, pushing the back of the 95 now.
See they're able to go places. Also, Jonathan Cogswell up there in the mix. He was up in the mix in the track race too. Unfortunately, got involved in the incident that took him out of it. But let's see if he can bring something else here with his 27 car currently running in 7th. Good
push from the 5 to close to the back of the 95, and look at the momentum that's going to give them down the middle of the back straight. carrying the 95 all the way to second and maybe to the lead. Here comes Josh Adams on the outside lane and trying to get there, and he's not going to quite do it. 77 on the apron there in turn 3. And now Josh Adams pulls even, and he's going to nose ahead here right out of turn 4. So 19 laps complete here, Finian. Pit stop's going to be coming up not too far off in the distance. And are you willing to just pit with a teammate, or do you need 3 or 4 cars to make that work?
You're definitely going to need, yeah, I mean, if you have at least one other car, you're all right, but ideally you do want about a solid 3 to 4 car group to keep the draft going. Otherwise, you might risk end up falling behind, although, again, with this package, you can really get away with just having at least one other person to work with you.
Race Clark up to 5th place, going to go for 4th on the inside of Sam Close. He will get there. He started the night in 18th place. That's really second to last. He's gained 12, make it 13 spots as he climbs to the front of the field here. This 22 has had some awful luck this season and really just needs to turn it around with the win. And this is a good place to do it. So we're running 4th right now. Hopefully we can keep it up here all night long.
Yeah, in fact, starting to single file just a little bit. Only Sam Close and Jonathan Cogswell are up on the outside. Everyone else settling in here for a little while. Oh, and Race Car just came on the radio. He's pulling to the pits this time by. All
right, so pit stops beginning lap number 21. So let's see who comes with him. And that's probably why we're seeing them singled out here, Finian. Time to come down to pit lane, get some tires. Maybe. I mean, you're going to be taking a full tank of fuel, so you might as well take tires. They might be fighting and handling just a little bit with the track temp so high. So we may or may not see tires as well as fuel.
Yeah, you might as well at least take rights if you're going to take about half the tank of gas. It's about the same amount of time to pull off, and there you see everyone coming down, a lot of people coming down on pit road, half the field remaining.
Whoa, no, the 77 sideways, as is the 14. Did they make it to pit speed, though? They were carrying a lot of speed on entry. That was pretty tight. But a good entry for the 77, 95, and 14, albeit a little bit aggressive. And we'll see if they have to serve any penalties. Meanwhile, Sam Close now is leading the way, and they've kind of broken up the draft with so many cars leaving, so you don't want to lose a whole lot of time. So either get formed up and push hard, or you're going to want to come in this time before you lose too much ground. Johnny Thomas in the 83 trying to take advantage of the lack of race cars on the track to go places. He's going to hook up with Corey Lindsay in the 00 and try to make up some time. So Josh Adams is good to go, so is Kevin Finn. I think everybody got out without penalty that time, and here comes more cars. The 27 of Cogswell, the 53 of Hunt, 5 of Sam Close, and more. There's the 52 in the background of Justin Kolb coming in, made up some good time on entry. So far, everyone in and out relatively clean. There is a couple cars at the front of the field that have not pit yet, 4 of them to be exact.
Yeah, I'd say, again, that's kind of where you want the smallest kind of pack size to be. So we'll see if they're going to come in next time by, or if some of them are going to stay out.
I think Tate Lightle might have driven through his box just a touch here. Here's a look. Oh, he slid way through it, had to back up. Lost some time there, but let's jump back up as the leaders come out of, or come into turns 3 and 4. Frankenfield bailing out here to get at the back of the grid. And I assume we'll see these guys come either this time or next time by. And it will be this time for a couple cars. And all of the rest of the cars that have not pitted yet are not going to make their way down pit lane. So about 23, 24 lap fuel runs here as Frankenfield gets sideways coming on in. So our leaders coming in were Kevin Finn and the 95 of Josh Adams, and they're all hooked up in front of John. Look at Johnny Thomas, how much ground he made up here. Johnny Thomas had a really good pit sequence, as did Tate Lightle. And they're going to leapfrog the 22 and 77. Not quite, as they're going to draft around the outside.
Yeah, and even the 6 of Robert Hill is going to join them on the outside lane and leapfrogging Lytle and Thomas.
Yeah, so Sam Close had a 12.4 second pit stop, a really good stop. The problem is that he had nobody else that was that good, so he's actually a sitting duck here as the leader's going to go right on by.
Yeah, but Kevin Finn and Adams had a fantastic pit stop. It's a noticeable gap as they come across the line and should inherit the lead.
Oh, Matt Gruenberg is going to be in trouble here, at least in the grand scheme of things. Here come the leaders at full speed, and Gruenberg's about 20 miles an hour off and still has a ways to go to gather all that momentum. Actually, you know, he might not be too bad here.
Yeah, he might not catch them, the 3 cars passing right now, but might catch Race Clark and Drew Eisenman in behind.
He got up pretty quick, actually, out of turns 1 and 2. So He'll slot in pretty well. Race Clark and Eisenman are going to go around him. Well, here comes the rest of the field at speed now. He'll hopefully be able to slot back in and maybe gain a couple spots overall.
Yeah, that broke up the pack quite a bit. A lot more than I thought it would have.
Yeah, you can see at the very top of your screen, about 4 or 5 packs all separated as they come across the start-finish line to start lap number 25. And clean and green so far for 24 laps. We've had 8 lead changes, make it 9 as the 95 comes across the line.
Yeah, entire pack kind of strewn out across about half a straightaway.
Chuck Sweeting stayed out a little bit longer, hoping there'd be a yellow, but he did not get it. He will resume racing 1 lap down, and he's going to need a caution at some point if he wants to be competitive in this race.
Yeah, I really feel bad for him because he's just been riding out there hoping that his caution to come up, but yet has yet to get one.
So 2 Mustangs and a Camaro are the leading trio here, then a couple more Mustangs and a Camaro, and Race Clark, Eisenman, and Johnny Thomas, 4th through 6th.
Yeah, well, those look like the driver has lost the pack, and that's Richard Hinds in the 2. He is out there by himself.
Yeah, and if you take a look back, his pit stop was a 14.3, but his pit lane time was a 41.0, which is about 4 seconds off everybody else. So struggled getting in and out of the box, and it cost him dearly. And he's most certainly going to go a lap down here if we stay green for longer, which is not what Chuck Sweeting wanted to see. Chuck Sweeting wants everyone to be on the lead lap except for him so that he could get that free pass. As soon as more cars start going a lap down, you start to have to race people instead of just hang on. Eisenman running 4th or 5th place right now in his number 77.
Cal Hanshaw pulling out a line by himself will be try to mount a lone charge up to the front. See if anyone tries to join him.
I think this 83 is my favorite to win this race tonight. Was so solid last night, stayed out of trouble the whole way. He learned a lot last night. I know you said before we started going, Finian, tonight that there's not really a whole lot that translates between the cars. I do think there's a lot that translates mentally, and I think the 83 has got these races figured out. He always seems to perform so well at tracks like this, so don't count out the 83. I think he's my pick to win tonight.
And he's going to collect Johnny Thomas. It is of note, Hanshaw and Thomas are in the same Discord channel as Josh Adams and Tate Lightle. So those 4 guys are working together.
And not necessarily all teammates either, so
yeah.
When you come to plate tracks, you have to make more friends than just the drivers on your team if you want to have a chance to win.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're by yourself, might as well just jump in one Discord channel and be like, hey, can I work with you guys? definitely helps out in the long run.
Absolutely. I don't think you can win a restrictor plate race without at least some help. I mean, we've seen a lot of drivers try to wing it by themselves. I don't really think that's going to be a super successful strategy. All right, we're racing again at the front here, lap number 28. What do you think about a SimTV sound surge?
I think that sounds perfect right now.
Josh Adams kind of got teamed up on there on the front straightaway, Finney, and everyone hooking up the trio of Mustangs going right around the 95, and Adams swings to the outside on his own. Now he wants payback now.
Yeah, he's trying to get payback. Unfortunately, he's also still completely surrounded by Mustangs, but Sam Close is coming up to try to help the 95 on that outside lane. It looks like Race Clark and Kevin Finn are fine being on the bottom.
Yeah, he's the only Chevrolet inside the top 5 right now. It's 4 Mustangs around him. Next Chevrolet is Johnny Thomas and Dave Hunt back in 7th and 8th. But the 95, again, we talked about, making friends, and maybe it's not across team lines, but manufacturer lineups are certainly more concrete than nothing. So even though it's not typically how the driver's mindset works, I mean, when you come to a plate track, if you have a choice of a Chevy driver and a Ford driver, and you're driving a blue oval, you're going with the Ford driver every time. Obviously that changes with only a couple laps left, but right now I think you're definitely divided along manufacturer lines. About a third of the way through this race as we work our way through the second round of the playoffs. Here's another look at our playoff standings walking into the night. Of course, Frankenfield is safe into the next round here of the playoffs. There are a lot of drivers that are not, and drivers that really need to have good finishes here. Matt Gruenberg in the 54. Remember, he got caught in a collision last week at Atlanta, so he's certainly not safe. And if something happens to him tonight, he'll be on defense heading in to the next round next week. So certainly I don't think we're quite done sorting out the field just yet. Very close points cushions as they are. And with Richard Hinds 19th, almost a lap down, he's most certainly fallen out, and that's going to put Kyle Hanshaw and or Johnny Thomas and or the 24 in right now.
Yeah, and speaking of the field itself, an update, as we mentioned earlier, Richard Hinds, he's lost the field. He's 30 seconds back from the rest of the pack. And then also Corey Lindsay's lost the field, as well as Frank Simpson, Jonathan Cogswell.
Yeah, so that's going to split up and create some lap traffic for the leaders right now. And Hinds is only about 15 seconds away from going a lap down, so he's running out of time here. Lap number 34 of 94 means next time by 60 laps to go. We've had 13 lead changes in our 34 laps so far. We've had no caution so far. A good start to the night. On the back straight, though, ooh, the 95 a little sideways as he came off turn 2, pushing the 5 car now. These two have worked pretty well together, but all the other Mustangs have certainly been avoiding that 95.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe they don't like Best Buy, but they're pulling around the outside to him. And whoa, Race Clark getting out of line there. Yeah,
Race Clark was all sorts of sideways. He managed to collect it, but Drew Eisenman's been really pushing hard tonight. And I'm concerned with the 22 loose and the 77 pushing. That could be a recipe for disaster, but looks like they'll get it in check now. Bit of disorganization there as the 5 and 95. Looks like they're going to swap. Whoa, the 83 took a hard left down to the yellow line, and that will put him underneath the 77 of Eisenman. So now Johnny Thomas going to work with the 5 of Sam Close potentially as they rocket down the back straight. And now look at Josh Adams. He's tacked back on the Mustangs on the outside groove, and whoa, you see them wibbling and wobbling all over the place, those trio of the Mustangs up front.
Yeah, Johnny Thomas making some pretty big moves here as of late. And Johnny Thomas, remember, won the truck race here last night, so definitely knows how to get it done. You see him getting pushed to the lead by Sam Close.
Yeah, a big push from Sam Close will put the 83 in the lead, and the trio of Mustangs is now going to have to regroup and try that again. Robert Hill Jr. started up towards the front of the field, dropped out. Now they're 3 wide, the 95 up the middle. That got a little bit tight off into turn 1. And now, whoa, the 22 kind of got booted out of the way with Adams filling the gap. And he'll latch onto the 14 of Kevin Finn. So splitting up the blue ovals here and inserting a bow tie in the mix. Now he'll bail back out of that. Every man for himself right now, at least between the 95 and the 77, 22, and 14. And here comes Kyle Hanshaw bringing a Toyota into the mix now as well.
Yeah, it really does look like everyone wants to work with anyone, but also no one at the same time. It's a really weird mix. Guys are just going pretty much wherever they please. And here comes Adams trying to move himself up to the front. It looks like Sam Close is willing to pull out.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, for sure the 5 and the 95 were working together, but everybody, even the 95, he split the 5 3 wide on the front straight. I thought these guys were working together. It looks like I don't know what I'm talking about. And again, I was saying the 95's got to be frustrated, but he's not helping out drivers that are trying to help him either. So it goes both ways. It's got to be a mutual respect and mutual understanding when you go to draft here. Kyle Hanshaw is all by himself, swings to the outside on the back straight. The 83 comes to block the 5, and that was a bit of a late block, but he made it work. The 5 shoves him down the back straight, getting aggressive here on lap 37.
They just heard Kyle Hanshaw put the car in third gear for a second there, almost blew his engine.
Well, he came with a huge head of steam and had nowhere to go with it. But again, Hanshaw's got no friends up here right now, so he's going to really have to be creative and be working with whoever he can get. The only other Toyota in this field is Frank Sims and Tate Lightle. They're 13th and 17th. So Hanshaw's really all on his own, and he doesn't look like he's really eager to work with anybody.
Yeah, he is in chat with the 95, so I imagine he's going to try to hang out with Josh Adams. He's also with Johnny Thomas, so all three of them are at the front of the pack.
They have found each other. It looks like Hanshaw will stay in line and give a nice big push to the back of Josh Adams. You hear the RPM just pick up as soon as the 46 gets in the back of him, and he'll probably back off right there on corner entry to make sure that they don't hook each other into the fence. Closing in on halfway here pretty shortly. Be lap number 47. We're about 10 laps away from that.
Yeah, we have seen in the past, well, at super speedway tracks, when we get to the halfway point, those points are given out, all hell typically breaks loose.
Well, here's the other issue, is that we have to make it to halfway, which is in about 10 laps to get those points, but we also have a pit stop coming up in 2 to 3 laps, at least for the drivers that pit earlier last time. So what's your call here, Finney, and how do you negotiate this situation?
I mean, if you can stay out, obviously not looking at their fuel gauges right now, but if you can stay out as long as humanly possible. You obviously don't want to make a pit stop. I mean, based on how far they went last time through, pit around lap 44, 45.
Yeah, the longest drivers went 24 laps on the last run. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they can only go 24 laps. I'm just saying that's when the last drivers pitted on that previous stint. So how will this affect the halfway points? Remember, with the playoffs being so close right now, those points will matter. They matter quite a bit. So you can't just ignore them. You have to race for those halfway points. Now, is the 54 of Gruenberg and other drivers, are they going to race for them, Finian, or do you think they're going to hang back and let these guys have an accident?
I think they're going to try to race for. I imagine Chad Frankenfield might stay out of it. Maybe guys like Gruenberg might try to nab a few points if it's safe enough. Obviously, if it's getting too hectic, he might decide to stay out. But we are starting to get single file here. Imagine pit stops are just over the horizon.
Richard Hinds in the 2 is going 1 lap down. You see just up the road, that's the 00 of Corey Lindsay, and Hinds doing a great job staying well out of the way, right up against the safer barrier. And Sam Close pops in line, and everyone's single file now with the exception of the lap traffic. And Close pops out of line. Maybe trying to drag somebody with them, but nobody went.
It doesn't look like anyone's willing to go, so I imagine guys are just wanting to stay single file until the pit stops go. Sam Close, meanwhile, wants to get up to the front and slowly making his way there.
Yeah, Sam Close, we've seen him be pretty aggressive so far, but he's making time even on his own. And he can't win a race like that, but you can certainly get to a pretty good place doing it. Just driving around everybody, Finian. Look at that.
Yeah, I know. It's actually really impressive to watch. So he's up into 3rd place now. I don't think he might be able to go a whole lot further.
No, but we're going to see a lot of the field peel off here shortly for pit stops. And what that means is that the 5 will be able to slot himself in line as people bail for pit road, though nobody does that time through. So next time by would be exactly 21 laps since the first group came to pit road. And that means that it'll be 2 equal stints for them. But again, we're about 6 laps away from the halfway point, so we'll see if these drivers can make it to the end there. Do these guys run cautions at the halfway point in this series, or am I going crazy?
At super speedways, I don't know.
I thought they did.
I think it might be at super speedways only.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying I'm pretty sure that's the case. Forgive us for not knowing this. We don't do super speedway racing with these guys a whole lot, so it's still fuzzy.
Yeah, it's also kind of hard to remember, too, because a lot of times they've had wrecks near halfway.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think it's really come into play very much, but I would imagine these guys are all going to try to make it to lap 47 and wait for that yellow. Hopefully someone will fill us in on that. Again, we also deal with a lot of different leagues that have a lot of different rules. So remembering each and every rule from each and every series of the week is tricky. Johnny Thomas goes to the lead with help from the 46 of Hanshaw. And there's Chuck Sweeting trying to get the free pass here in that 26. He wants a yellow.
Yeah, no, he's been very patient in that regard. Just waiting this entire race. We're about to go halfway through without a caution. I think he's going to be a little bit disappointed.
20 lead changes in 43 laps. That's approximately a lead change every lap and a half or so. So looking pretty solid. And 95 is going to peel off, so I'm going to say that almost invalidates our thoughts on the strategy here. He slows down for pit road and hops in all on his own, strangely enough. Wouldn't really think that's...
Race Clark coming in, and imagine a lot of other guys are also going to be coming in as well.
Yeah, so I don't think you can make it. I mean, you might be able to get close, but maybe the guys that pit later on the first run can make it to the end of this run, but that's challenging. "44 laps complete of 94 tonight. There'll be 50 laps to go at the start-finish line, almost to halfway here in the second round of the playoffs of the RaceKings Cup Series. Sam Close leads the way. Chuck Sweeting hoping and waiting for a yellow flag to get his 26 Mystery Motorsports Camaro on the lead lap. Johnny Thomas, Kyle Hanshaw, and others peel off for pit road this time.
Ooh, Sam Close came in late. He's going to slam on the brakes. Just going to get
Wow,
slowed down.
That was really impressive. And a whole lot of Mustangs in that group. But up front, it's Dave Hunt in the 53, and he has led one lap tonight, and it was this one. And every time you lead a lap, it's a point. He's not in the playoff picture, but there's still a points picture outside of the playoffs as well, so every point is going to help that 53. So how is this pit road picture going to look on exit? Everyone taking tires as well. That does not a huge surprise to me. Track conditions, 127 degrees Fahrenheit. Sam Close rolls off first of the drivers that just came to pit road. And out of turn 4, we should see some more cars coming. Dave Hunt is going to be one of them. Whoa, Tate Lightle almost went to the inside of the 53. That would have been a big disaster. The 00 of Corey Lindsay is going to come in with the 53. A little bit of a 3-car group at the front here, Finian. Another trio of Mustangs all pushing the 26 of Chuck Sweeting. And they got to go another lap and a half to make it to the halfway point. Will they make it? Or will they try?
I don't know. It's going to be pretty tough to tell.
They went 24 laps last time out. If they can go 25, they'll be good. That would sting to have to pit right before halfway points, but it is what it is. And they peel off. Will somebody try to stay out? No, I don't think anybody can make it. They're all coming in. So now, this is going to get really dicey, because this next lap by is going to be the halfway point bonus, Finian. When we hit lap 48 is officially when those points will fly. So what that means is that the drivers that are already up to speed will probably have an advantage here. Sam Close is leading that fight. But here comes Josh Adams, and Hanshaw and Johnny Thomas are going to blow right around the 5 of Sam Close.
Yeah, so they'll get right on by him. So Josh Adams leading this small little group. Sam Close is going to try to stick in with them. It looks like he will just be able to.
Yeah, we've separated the groups quite a bit here. So Matt Gruenberg, Frankenfield, Miller leaving pit road right now. Josh Adams leading the field through the tri-oval. And the 54, 15, 42, and 56 are all right on the loud pedal, trying to get up to speed as they come across the line to start lap number 47. At the end of this lap, we'll award halfway points, and those will drastically swing the playoff picture. So Gruenberg leads the way, but the field ought to turn 2 with a huge head of steam. There's going to be nothing that Gruenberg can do to stop these guys, as Josh Adams is going to blow right around the outside.
Yeah, he's completely defenseless as this top 4, they're going to make their way on through. So Adams will lead him down. Let's see if Kyle Hanshaw can do anything before the stripe to try to pick up some points. Maybe even Thomas or Sam Close.
Well, Hanshaw already, remember, as he came into the night, this was the points picture before we started the race. Again, these halfway points are going to change a lot of things. And for the 46, he needed some halfway points, and he's going to get them. And it's going to help him out quite a bit. As they come to the start-finish line, who's going to get there? Adams, Hanshaw, Thomas, Close, Gruenberg, Miller, Frankenfield, Lightle, and Clark and Eisenman your top 10 as they cross the line. Now they're double file for the top 4 spots at the front of the field on their own, about a second up the road from Matt Gruenberg in 5th. This long run has fractured the field quite a bit, Finney. We've done 48 laps green, half the race without a single yellow flag. Is this the calm before the storm?
Hang on, give me 1 second. I'm going to have to mute you for a second. You hear about penalty?
Okay. As they lead the way, Adams on the inside, Hanshaw on the outside. 2 Camaros on the inside, and a Camry and a Mustang on the outside lane. And all 3 manufacturers represented inside the top 5.
I got a penalty for the 32 passengers. Too many pit boxes on exit.
For which driver?
32.
There's no 32.
So I thought I heard Tyler say.
Well, we're going to find out very shortly which driver that is.
Oh, 42.
42. So that will be James Miller. He was 15th, and he's already served that penalty. So he comes in and out of the pit lane.
Yep, and unfortunately, there goes Matt Gruenberg's drafting partner.
Well, I don't think it matters because the field is forming up a pack, and I don't think the drafting partner is going to matter a whole lot when you're in a pack like this. Now, I mentioned calm before the storm, Finney, and what lap does our crash happen on, Finney? And take a guess. I'll take one too.
Let's see. We have 94 laps.
We're on lap 50 right now.
93.
Really? You think we're going to go all the way to the end and have a crash on lap 93?
Yeah, I don't say. I mean, we've gone over half the race without a caution.
All right, I say
make it all the way to the end.
I say lap 62 is when our first caution of the night happens.
It's a weird number.
So it's 93.
Well, my number makes more sense. It's 1 lap before the end.
Yeah, but my number also makes sense because they're 3 wide right now. And they're racing for the lead. Adams and Close, they've been both strong tonight, but Race Clark in that 22 is going to try to go to the outside. Can't quite fit in the hole there. He'll back out for now, but the aggression level beginning to slowly pick up as we begin to run out of laps. Whoa, the 5 swings over in front of the 22. I don't think these guys are really thrilled with each other at the moment.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they're making as drastic movements as they are, because they haven't really done a whole lot for most of this race, playing it pretty calm and steady. Race Clark all over the back bumper of the 5, pushing him to the front, trying to get him to go.
I was nervous there because the 22 was kind of wiggling around when he gave the 5 a push. Still wiggling, and the 5's going to pull over to the left right in front of the 95. And now we're 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 at the front of the field. Heart rate picks up. The intensity picks up. The playoffs in the RaceKings Cup Series for 2019. 6 rounds. This is the second of 6. Oh, there they go. The 22 crash. The 5 is Sam Close in it. He smashes the inside wall. And I think that'll be a caution. Yes, it is. Lap number 52. I was off by 10. But Race Clark is in it. The 5 is in it. I think that's all we have. I think it was just those 2. But the 5 of Sam Close is pretty torn up here. So our first caution of the night happens on lap number 52. Let's go back and see how it happened. I think this is bump drafting that went wrong. It was the 77 that got into the back of the 22, and this is where it's going to start. He gets him in the right rear, swings him over, and watch the 5. Big door slam into the wall. The 22 of Race Clark, he was just along for the ride here. The 95 of Josh Adams got some damage as well. Oh, Hanshaw did too. Almost missed it. Got some pretty heavy damage there on the nose. That'll probably be the night over for the 46, at least competitively.
I'm not entirely sure. We saw some pretty beat-up cars in the Fuel Cup Series make it to the end.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we saw a hit that hard, but I guess time will tell. And really unfortunate accident there. But, this is just plate racing here, Finney. We'll ride on board the 77. I mean, this is, you have to push, but just hit him a little bit off center. Right there. Got him in the right rear. Just tagged him. Yeah, 46 hit really hard on that nose. And Sam Close almost avoided major damage as he got hit here. Here's his gyro cam here. He got it door slammed pretty hard in the right, but then almost had it stop before he hit the inside wall, then clobbered it with the left side. Thankfully, only 2 cars involved. And we'll see who our free pass car was after all this. I think it might have been... Ooh, I don't know who it was.
Chuck Sweeting.
Should be Chuck Sweeting. We'll see how that pans out. Field down pit lane for our 3rd stop of the night. Cannot make it to the end from here, but from here to the end is 41 laps, Finian, so it's just, after this pit stop, it's a 1-stopper from there. Pretty easy and straightforward.
Yep, indeed it is. And as the pace car comes across the line, Chuck Sweeting will follow on through, and he will be the free pass recipient. So lucky for him, he's been very patient. He's waited 50 laps, and finally will get back on the lead lap for the first time.
Patience pays off for sure. Drew Eisenman at the cause of that accident, but Johnny Thomas wins the race off pit road. Eisenman second, Kevin Finn, Dave Hunt, Chad Frankenfield. The lineup on the left-hand side of your screen. And we're going to jump to break here momentarily. As cautions are pretty long. We don't want to bore you. We don't want to bore us. So we'll take a break. And your word from our sponsor, MyLaps. We'll be right back.
To get the best result, it's all about ambition, hard work, and doing the right things right. In 1982, 2 Dutch brothers invented an automatic way to time RC races. The system of the company, called AMBIT, was quickly adopted by pro racing series like NASCAR and IndyCar. Automated timing for mass participation sport events was also invented in the Netherlands by Champion Chip in the early 90s, giving athletes a personal chip time of their performance. In 2008, the 2 companies joined forces, and MyLaps Sports Timing was born. We never stop innovating with state-of-the-art timing systems and digital services to enhance the event experience. With our X2 platform, we bring motorsports timing to a whole new level with 2-way communication.
Welcome back live here to SimTV, and you're seeing what just happened under yellow flag. The 15 of Chad Frankenfield, Finian, a huge, huge mistake with potential championship implications. Why?
Yeah, I know he was. I imagine he's probably looking at something else on his screen, was distracted and didn't realize he's catching the field. Realized way too late and tried to take evasive action, but ended up clipping the 53 just a little bit. And 53 ended up taking out the 14 of Kevin Finn. So yeah, and 3WideRacing is not scared of handing out penalties, and even with Frankenfield safe, whatever the penalty might be, it could be pretty big. Might end up taking him out of the playoff altogether.
I don't know. I mean, in the past, they've handled that kind of penalty with a really heavy hand, and you know, I know that he's advanced to the next round, but it wouldn't surprise me if they revoked that, Finian, or at least a points penalty that will severely hurt him in the standings following the playoff cut after the 3rd round of the playoffs. But that is a huge mistake for the 15, and unfortunately for the 53 and 14, they've got torn up race cars now, and I'm sure they're not very happy about that either.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic mistake too from Chad Frankenfield.
We've seen it in the past. I think Gruenberg did it at Daytona, didn't he? Daytona 07 earlier in the season? Well, one of our other championship contenders did something very similar to this. This might have been in a different series, but I'm fairly certain we've seen this crop up pretty recently. But I don't know. We'll see how it gets handled, Finian, but that is not a mistake you can afford to make in the playoffs of the RaceKings Cup Series. So, field's going to come around. It's going to be another couple minutes, so we're going to jump back to break for the time being. We just wanted to fill you in on that situation.
Oh, and actually, right before you go back,
sure.
Frankfield's just given an EOL for that.
Oh, I'd be surprised if that's all he gets, but...
No, I think there's definitely going to be something post-race.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back with a restart here from Talladega Superspeedway. Stay with us. Welcome back live to SimTV. Coming up to the restart here for lap number 57 of 94 here at Talladega Superspeedway. It's the RaceKings Cup Series playoffs. We just had a interesting altercation under the caution sequence with the 15 of Chad Frankenfield rear-ending a couple drivers under the yellow flag. He has been given an EOL for the restart. Got some work to do, but Finian, you, as we watch this restart, you checked the rule book to see what the penalty was for that. Can you explain and maybe speculate on what will be done post-race here?
Yeah, so Levi Zielinski at the truck race at Talladega in the past, he got an infraction. This is actually last year in September, oddly enough. He got a penalty for pretty much a similar thing, the contact under caution, and got a P2 level penalty from that, which entails a 10-point penalty and a 3-race probation. So if that is applied just as it is, it shouldn't affect Frankenfield. If they take away his win status and give him the point penalty, that could be huge. So we'll have to see after the race what the admins decide to do is the best course of action. But you never know in these things that I think Franklin's going to be kind of waiting the wings to see what happens to him.
Yeah, now he's at the victim of the rules at that point, how they'll be interpreted, how they'll be applied, because it's kind of a unique situation with him with the automatic advancement after Atlanta. So, you know, he has an automatic advance, so how does a points penalty affect you? How will that be applied? I don't know. We're going to have to find out. Meanwhile, for the lead, Drew Eisenman is going to take it away. Here comes Frank Sims in the 75 up inside the top 5. A solid run so far for him in that number 75 machine. Started 21st, as high as he's been all night. A bit of a door slam there with the 95, and Josh Adams backs out of that.
Yeah, and Johnny Thomas, too, went below the yellow line trying to avoid contact there. That could have been a big wreck.
And it wasn't, but Sims right in the right rear quarter panel of the 77 now. And pretty aggressive up here towards the front. I don't think we're done seeing yellow flags just yet, Finian. Looking pretty racy. Yeah,
this is typically the thing, you know, cautions breed caution, everyone gets a little bit antsy here, so we could see another wreck develop. I'm sure a lot of these guys in this pack hope that something doesn't happen.
Yeah, we got really lucky with that last accident only involving 2 cars. I don't think we'll be so lucky from here on out. Again, we're getting close to really 20-something laps to go here. So, getting down to it.
On the bright side, though, I guess Frankenfield shouldn't be too completely bad because Kevin Finn and Dave Hunt, their cars are running pretty much like they were before.
Yep. Whoa, Frank Sims up the middle. That got a little dicey. The 95's got some left front damage after that incident, but looks like he might be able to continue without too much issue. Of course, this aero package kind of saving him there. In the past, that would have been a death sentence and ended your day, but so far, looks like he's in pretty good shape. This 75 is making me a little nervous, Finian. He hasn't really been up here all night. I don't think he's really experimented a whole lot with making runs, and it's making me a bit nervous.
Yeah, no, he kind of almost caused 2 wrecks there, so I'm sure a lot of drivers are also a little bit nervous of him as well. But he'll continue on right in behind Drew Eisenman.
Johnny Thomas to the outside with help from the 95. He's going to peek ahead for the lead for a moment, and he'll lead this lap as well. Jonathan Cogswell in the 27. He's squeaky clean. Running 5th right now. Ran pretty well last night. Ended up getting involved in an accident. Sims loose off of turn 2. Pushing down the back straight. Lap car up the road, and I think that is Sam Close.
Whoa, he is
way off the pace. Yeah, about 40 miles an hour off the pace as the field comes through 3 and 4. This could get really interesting.
Yeah, he's going to pull off. Smart move there. This is the field race on by. Sam Close just kind of running out there just for points, really. Just trying to pick up if anyone makes a mistake or gets involved on the right, can make up some points here. But it's going to be a long night for the 5 just putting around there.
Yeah, not what he needed. Of course, he is in the playoff picture, and again, this is the points coming into the night, and he was below the cutoff line by 12 points already, so this is not looking good unless he gets a victory next week. So he's going to need a lot of help with some accidents later in this race. So 61 of 94. It's about a half an hour of green flag racing remaining. Take a look at our race information. 1 caution so far. 29 lead changes in 61 laps. It's been pretty competitive at the front of the field.
Looks like Cal Hanshaw is still sticking with this field regardless of that front end damage. It's amazing how this new package has enabled damaged cars to continue to race in the back.
You know, after he got it fixed, Finney, and it really doesn't look all that bad. When he originally got it, it was pretty torn up, but the pit crew did a good job kind of knocking that nose down. And it looks like it'll be able to run pretty well from here on out. Front of the field, Johnny Thomas. Again, I picked him at the beginning of the race. I still pick him in that 83. He's just so consistently solid at these plate tracks. He just knows where to put the car and what to do with it and continues to lead this race. And so far tonight, he has led 11 laps of the 62. Drew Eisenman, who is sitting second right now, he's led 9. Dave Hunt has led 1. Robert Hill Jr. has led 3. Frankenfield's led 1. But the driver who's led the most tonight, I think I'm jumping back to the field to see. Trying to see if there's anybody else. I think Johnny Thomas has actually led the most, and he will continue that with a 12th lap led tonight. Field really evenly spread amongst laps led tonight.
Yeah, Frankenfield mounting a charge to the front, pushing Robert Hill Jr. up, and I think Frankenfield getting off. Antsy just pushing himself to the front, you know, just in case he does get a severe penalty, he'll at least be able to rebound that with a good finish here tonight.
Well, he got lucky that he didn't penalize himself more with that front end damage, because he actually glanced off the quarter panel of the 53, which meant that he didn't really get a whole lot of damage himself, so that he lucked out on that one too. Of course, 2 lines forming up again, and as we continue to run, those lines are leaving each other plenty of space, but I don't think they'll leave each other that much space for the rest of the night, as we're quickly approaching 20 laps to go, and when drivers start to see that lap number tick up and the number of laps tick down, the aggression level picks up. Robert Hill Jr. to the top spot again in the 6. Filling in for Levi Zielinski tonight, doing a very nice job. Oh, Frank Sims up the racetrack out of turn 2. Looks like he's struggling out of turn 2 with just understeer from the aero wash off the back of the 77. And look who's going up the high side of the racetrack. That's Frankenfield. I think he's just trying to bail out of this one now, maybe? Yeah.
I think what happened with Frank Sims, I think I spooked him a little bit, and he's like, nope, see you guys.
I'll see you later.
See you in 15 laps, yeah.
20 laps to go. Actually, make that 30 laps to go at the line here. 65 of 94, and Robert Hill Jr. is going to swing over in front of Johnny Thomas. It does seem like the outside lane can make you up spots. You can pass up there, and you can defend up there. I just don't think it's necessarily the quickest way around in a vacuum. I think you need some help to make that outside lane work. If you have no help, the bottom's a good safe place to be.
Oh, that'll be a cool idea for a racetrack.
What?
Just have it be a vacuum. So basically, it's like a hyperloop.
Oh my gosh, here we go again.
But Elon Musk should build that track.
Yeah. Well, make it in a tube, and you can run upside down if you want. Oh man, be really loud. You can spot the Dyson 500 in a vacuum. All right, side by side for the lead. Robert Hill Jr. and Johnny Thomas has jumped to the outside lane in front of the 95. And quickly, the laps are ticking down. Dave Hunt in the 53, even with the adversity he's dealt with tonight, still running quite nicely. Up inside the top 10 in 6th right now.
Yeah, and he's running pretty much as he was earlier, completely ignoring that heavy right rear damage he has to his car, but doesn't really need the right rear a whole lot.
You know, at a 1.5 mile racetrack, that's a very important part of the car, but here, not a hugely important part. It's really all about that front bumper and front nose. And I love the irony of Robert Hill Jr. in this this car with 1776 and U.S. and America plastered all over it, and the American flag, and he's from Canada. So I love the irony of that, filling in for Levi Zielinski tonight. All right, Finney, and I think with about just under 30 laps to go, maybe it's time for one final sound surge. Field rolls off of turn 2 right now as Josh Adams leads the way, and Drew Eisenman looking for the top spot again on the outside lane with help from the 14 of Kevin Finn. These Mustangs have worked pretty well together all race long, Finian, but if you got I picked my guy a little while ago. Who you got winning this thing?
Honestly, I think Johnny Thomas is going to be the one that is going to probably end up taking this. Oh wait, was Johnny Thomas the one you picked?
Yeah, I mean you can pick him as well, but if you couldn't pick Johnny Thomas, who would your guy be?
I'll pick Josh Adams, the guy who's in front. I think both of them have worked together, and obviously they're working together in Discord. But that 95 has also been one of those guys that's really maintained up in the front alongside the 81. So I think he's got what it takes to win tonight.
Drew Eisenman in the outside lane has been aggressive so far. He's got a couple teammates, Mustang teammates lined up behind him. Dave Hunt, also an outlier here. Robert Hill Jr. in the 6th, filling in for Zielinski. He's been up front all night long as well. I don't know if he's quite capable of winning the race at the moment, but if he moves himself around, he certainly could be a driver to beat.
And also an update to Sam Close. He's decided to pull off for the night. And actually, there's a good reason he's pulled off, too, because of the 6 and 11 rule.
Yep, so
I haven't mentioned that one in a while.
Yeah, if you go too many laps down, you cannot return to the racetrack. Yep. So Sam Close is off and done for the night. Unfortunate for him. And essentially, he's in a must-win situation next week. So that's not really what Sam Close wanted to deal with. Also, for the 2 of Richard Hinds, he's also going to be in a similar situation if he doesn't pick up some spots. He's only 1 lap down, and he's in position for a free pass, but he's going to need a lot of luck to get that, and a caution relatively soon. Lap 72 of 94 as we're going to be coming out of turn 4 right here, picking up lap 72. So next week, the final round of the first round of the final race of the first round of the playoffs is going to end next week at Martinsville. Then it's Rockingham, Richmond, Homestead to finish out the year. So a short track next week, Finian. How intense is that after Talladega, going from the largest track to the smallest track? And if you're sitting below the cut line next week, how do you get yourself in? And do you have to get aggressive and potentially risk some friendships to get yourself in?
Yeah, well, don't really need a friendship to win the championship, so I think for some of these guys, they might have to be in a situation where they might have to get a little bit physical with other drivers, might have to use a bumper or two here and there, so we'll see what it comes down to. It depends on how desperate the driver and what their point situation is looking at. Like we were mentioning, guys like Sam Close is on a must-win situation going to next week.
Eisenman continues to lead on an outside lane. He's got a little bit more momentum now. Richard Hinds has latched himself on to the tail of that outside group and sits 1 lap down and in the free pass position. And Josh Adams, as you said, and Johnny Thomas, I think they're content with where they are right now. I think they feel like they're capable of moving around anywhere they need to go on the racetrack, and I think they're just going to let these Mustangs do what they need to do. And then when we get down to 2 or 3 laps to go, the 83 and 95 are most certainly going to be making moves. But now Kevin Finn in the 14 is going to pull ahead, not quite clear of the 95, as Johnny Thomas gives a good launch to Adams into turn 3. At the front of the field, they've been aggressive all night long, has the 77. Trigger the first incident tonight with the 5 of Sam Close, and a couple other drivers involved in that one as well.
Yeah, and also the thing that we should take note of as we come to lap 74, pit window is open.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So let's take a look at our stint situation here. And I think almost everybody will pit this time through, or either this time or next time by. You're going to split this run right in half, and it'll be 20 laps to go next time by. So I think we'll see a big portion of the field pit.
Yeah, we'll see. There's still a lot of them that are double filed up, but yeah, definitely within the next few laps, it wouldn't be amazing if we do see some good drivers come down to. It's also they can't really go a whole lot longer.
Yeah, they can go about 3 or 4 more laps at max. Out of turn 4, does anyone peel off? Nobody from the front group. That surprises me. Nobody does, interestingly enough. 20 laps to go at Talladega. Josh Adams leads the way. He's got Johnny Thomas parked up behind him. Drew Eisenman, Kevin Finn in the outside lane. It's been an aggressive race. We've only had 1 caution so far. 36 lead changes in 75 laps. And we're going to see a whole lot more before the night is out. Playoff racing for the RaceKings Cup Series underway. 2 of 6 rounds. And we're not done just yet. Next week, Martinsville. We got to finish out this one with just over 50 miles of racing left at the Super Speedway.
Yeah, I love that too. Is going from one of the biggest tracks in America to, I guess, well, not one of the smallest tracks in America.
Well, one of the smallest
on the
NASCAR
Cup
racetrack, at least.
Yeah, it's one of the smallest on the Cup schedule.
And that contrast is going to be challenging for drivers to deal with. I mean, it's a total different mindset. This week, that brake pedal's only when you need new tires. Next week, the gas pedal's really only for when you need new tires. I mean, you're really not using... I mean, you're on the brakes almost as much as you're on throttle in a place like Martinsville. So it's a totally different ideology next week. And we're going to see some very different names and faces up front than we typically do. So I think Matt Gruenberg will have a strong race there. Chad Frankenfield will probably have a strong race there. But Sam Close in the 5 needs to win there to advance to the next round. And it's going to be a tall hill for him to climb. So you better hope he's good at Martinsville, because he's going to need to be. Drew Eisenman pops in line with his number 14 behind him. And I think we're going to see some pit stops this time through for sure.
Yeah, and here we go, coming through.
No.
And no tickets. I think
Wow.
they're setting up for the next lap.
I'm surprised that they've waited this long. They can really only go one more lap. So I think everyone's going to come on the same time.
Yeah, the funny thing too is the only driver I can hear calling out on the radio is Race Clark. I don't know why. I think everyone else is in a different channel or a channel that I can't hear. But I've been using Race Clark as a cue for some of the guys to come on down.
And remember, Race Clark was involved in an incident earlier, and he's actually recovered quite nicely to 9th. That car's got some dings and scratches on it, but he's still running pretty well. So on the back straightaway now, I think we'll see some pit stops this time through, and no mistakes. This is the money stop. Get this one right, and you can go all the way to the end. Get this one wrong, you could throw away your chance to win not only the race, but the championship. At turn 4, who's going to peel off? Here they come. And this is going to be a busy place this time through.
Whoa. Just I saw Frank Sims get a little bit squirrely on the brakes, but looks like everyone's going to make it onto pit road safely.
They've done a good job tonight getting down onto the pit lane compared to Daytona earlier in the year. I think it was the Truck Series race, the first race of the season, where they had a lot of issues. Ooh, Frank Sims almost got into Carlos Acosta. And we haven't talked about Carlos Acosta at all tonight. We haven't mentioned his name even once in that...
Yeah, he's been very quiet in the back of the pack for most of this race. See if he changes that around. Tries to push up more towards the front. Speaking of the front of the field, I imagine these guys are getting ready to make their stops this time by.
Almost certainly. Richard Hinds found himself at the front of this field, unlapping himself. Of course, he needs to make a pit stop here, too. Will he pit with them, do you think?
I don't see
not.
why he wouldn't.
He will not. Gruenberg, Miller, and Moore on pit lane. A couple lockups here and there, but I think everyone else got in very clean. I've been disappointed with how clean it is. It's not as exciting as I was hoping.
Well, we got Lindsay, Sweeting, and Hinds to make their stops, so we might have a chance for carnage. I think it also helps, too, that Talladega, you get a lot more room on the apron, a lot more room for guys to spread out. Daytona's pretty tight by the pit entry compared to Talladega.
Yeah, it sure is. All right. So, the leader of the race right now, or what will cycle to be the leader of the race, should be Kevin Finn in the 14 right now. Johnny Thomas did not really get a great pit sequence there. He's going to have to draft back up. And he will. He's close enough to get the draft. He's going to be coming with a big head of steam as well. There's Tate Lightle up there. We haven't talked a lot about the 56 yet either. He had a crash last week. And comes into the night. Did he have a crash last week?
Who?
Tate Lightle at Atlanta? Pretty sure he did.
I think he did. Feels like he did.
I don't want to report it wrong, but my memory's fuzzy. But I'm pretty sure he got in an accident last week later in the race out of turn 4. And Matt Gruenberg has been nailing these pit stops tonight, but they just haven't had enough momentum to keep up with the field as they roll on by. There's the 15 of Frankenfield. We'll slot in line somewhere in here, but... Oh no, the 14 gets turned in front of the field. Josh Adams involved. Does the 14 save it? He does. An incredible job there by Kevin Finn.
That's going to take Kevin Finn and Adams essentially out of it for now.
Long way to go, 15 laps, but Kevin Finn did a spectacular job holding onto that car. That car was crashed. Here's a look. I can't believe he saved this car. Oh, we do have a caution.
Oh, there's a crash in turn 1.
Yeah,
and
it's
Carlos Acosta's involved.
Oh, I only see one car slow, so it is just Carlos Acosta as far as I know. But let's take a look here. And he got hit by Dave Hunt. They were 3 wide with Josh Adams. And he just gets spun around. So he'll be able to continue. This wasn't a huge deal. But, yeah, I think Carlos just cut that a little bit close. And the 53 was kind of in the middle and not enough room there.
I think Acosta thought that Dave Hunt was going to line up in behind the 95. And I'm sure he was probably just as shocked to figure out that he was 3 wide.
But here's a look at the 14 again. This is spectacular. I cannot believe that he drove away from this. He was dead sideways and just one correction saved that car. And just such a spectacular job. Here's an onboard. Didn't panic, just steered it right back in the right direction and kept it going.
Perfect example of car control right there. Set up a Formula Drift. That was a very impressive slide that he pulled off there.
Well, I think Formula Drift requires that you drift on purpose. So there's that. I don't think the 14 wants to do that again anytime soon. But yeah, the 95 had a nose under, and the 14 tried to come down and cover and was just too late to it. But both cars continued. I'm sure they'll have maybe a verbal disagreement about it. Ooh, Josh Adams, his nose. Don't know what it looks like for you, Finian, but for me, it's not looking so good.
Let's see, Adams.
I'm seeing roll bar off the front bumper.
Oh, yeah, what on earth?
I don't think that was like that just a little while ago. So what happened to the 95?
Yeah, that's what I'm surprised about. Oh, did he have... I think he had some contact post-incident.
I think he... Oh, yeah, this is... Oh, no, this is from the Carlos Acosta incident. Yeah, he gets it right there.
Oh.
With Carlos Acosta.
Oh, on my screen, he survives that, and then, you know, for half the lap, he's good, and then it's just...
Yeah, no, it is definitely correct on my end, so if that makes you feel any better. Just tag the 24 enough, and that's going to hurt the 95 for sure. Field on pit lane. At least some people on pit lane, but Tate Lightle out on the racetrack.
Yeah, hopefully, if Adams can get the repaired enough, they'll slap that back on magically.
Magically. All right, well, we've had 2 cautions, 39 lead changes, and we're not done yet. We're going to jump to break while these guys finish up pacing. We'll be back in just a minute with the restart with probably about 10 laps to go. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
To get the best result, it's all about ambition, hard work, and doing the right things right. In 1982, 2 Dutch brothers invented an automatic way to time RC races. The system of the company, called AMBIT, was quickly adopted by pro racing series like NASCAR and IndyCar. Automated timing for mass participation sport events was also invented in the Netherlands by Champion Chip in the early 90s, giving athletes a personal chip time of their performance. In 2008, the two companies joined forces and MyLap's sports timing was born. We never stop innovating with state-of-the-art timing systems and digital services to enhance the event experience. With our X2 platform, we bring motorsports timing to a whole new level with two-way communication. Our event app and photo video create the ultimate event experience for athletes and fans with live data and personal content like photos and videos. SpeedHive provides a pro-level racing experience for amateur and club events by analyzing personal data. We capture performances of over 20 million racers and athletes every year and use live data to spark emotions. MyLaps. Experience progress.
12 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway, the second round of 6 in the 2019 3WideRacing League RaceKings Cup Series playoffs. We are 83 laps into our 94-lap event, and Tate Lightle sits atop the scoring pylon for the first time tonight in that number 56 Toyota Camry. And Finian, we've had 2 cautions tonight. Are we going to go green all the way to the end, or what's the plan here on the restart? And how far do you think we're going to make it before we see another yellow, or maybe the checkers fly?
I think we definitely can go to the checkers. I feel like a lot of guys are going to purposely save their shenanigans till the white flag, because once the white flag comes out, you're racing back to the line no matter what. So I think guys might try to get to that point, and then that's when we'll see all hell break loose. And also, too, once we get to the white flag, the yellow line rule is no longer in effect.
I love that rule. It always makes these finishes really exciting, and obviously last night it didn't really come into play. But tonight, I do think that'll be a factor, because if you take a look at the back straightaway here, Finian, off on the far left-hand side of the screen, there is a lot of pavement out there, and that all becomes fair game on the last lap of the race.
It really does amaze me, though, that it took NASCAR quite a few years to implement that rule.
I mean, in real life, it needs to be a rule. I mean, there's a lot of debate about it, but it needs to be done for safety reasons, because you can't have people going 15 lanes off the racetrack and then sweeping back up and taking out the field. However, in a sim racing environment, all we're worried about is damaging some egos here. So I'm all on board with getting rid of the rule here.
Yeah, but I still am surprised, though, for NASCAR it took them all to implement that rule. Because you would think, they would figure, if your people are passing on the apron, that's just a recipe for disaster.
Every sport has out of bounds, Finian, and NASCAR is no different. Now, the only difference here is that it's really difficult to regulate when you get shoved out of bounds in stock cars. So 3Wide said, we're not going to regulate it. You go down there, all fair game, just don't do anything stupid coming back up on the racetrack. And now, this back at Michigan, remember that was a situation back at Michigan a few months ago. We had some issues there, but I don't think, other than that, we really had a big problem with it. I think most drivers kind of self-police, but I don't know. We've got a lot of cars running. We started the night with 20 cars, and we have 19 of them still running and on the lead lap, which is in stark contrast to last night. So that means 19 cars here are still capable of winning the race, and 19 cars are going to be hungry and going for it on the last lap. Coming back to the green flag. We're going to be quiet for the restart lap. We're just going to let you listen to the sounds on the restart here at Talladega. We'll be back with you when we hit 9 laps to go. 9 laps to go here at Talladega. Tate Lightle leads the way, but he's got help from Johnny Thomas. Is it going to be enough help to hold off Drew Eisenman in the outside lane? He's got the 15 of Chad Frankenfield pushing him 3 wide for the lead here as we come to the end of this race here at Dega.
Yeah, and Gruenberg decided waiting is enough. He's going to have the 42 James Miller help him around the outside. They're going to get a huge run on the back straightaway, and they're ready to go and fight for this at the end.
The middle groove with the speed right now. The 42 trying to push the 54 teammates in the outside lane. Do they have enough power to overcome the longer way around? I don't think so. The inside right now seems like it's pulling ahead through 3 and 4, but the middle groove again with Eisenman, who's been so aggressive tonight in that 77. Can he pull out a victory here? Coming to 8 laps to go, about 7 minutes worth of racing left, and I don't know who's got the edge here, but I know that somebody's going to win this race. I just don't know who.
Frankfield's going to pull out a line ahead of Matt Gruenberg. Eisenman going to dive below, in behind Johnny Thomas, so that middle lane dying pretty quickly. Kevin Finn's the only driver remaining back in there.
Yeah, he can't drop down in front of the 6. Now he will. The 6 will let him in line. That's Robert Hill Jr. And Frankenfield and Gruenberg, they were working together for a moment, but now they split. The 2 championship leaders changing lines mid-corner, and now Gruenberg going to try to take his teammate with him up the middle. They're going to have a huge head of steam. What do they do with it? Do they go high? Do they go low? Do they go middle? They're going to choose the 3rd lane and try to make time up there.
Yeah, and Eisenman and Kevin Finn have found each other to get teammates working together through the middle, teammates on the outside working together, teammates on the inside working together.
7 laps to go here at Talladega, the 2nd round of 6 in the 2019 RaceKings Cup Series playoffs. I don't think we've had a championship favorite other than Gruenberg or Frankenfield all season long. Does something go wrong for these 2 Mustang drivers towards the end of the race? Frankenfield sits back in 11th place. The 54 is in 5th. Do they finish the race? Do they carry their points in the next round? We thought the 15 was going to be good onto the 2nd round of the playoffs, but again, that issue earlier under caution may jeopardize that. We're not sure yet, but I don't know if he's sure yet either, so he's going to have to be racing really hard to try to get as many points as possible.
Yeah, and you never do quite know, especially if this is safe or not. You know, we could easily have a big wreck taking out a majority of our championship leaders, and that could really throw a wrench into things going to Martinsville here as we come down to the last few laps.
6 to go now, about 5 minutes worth of racing left. We've only had 2 cautions so far. I don't know if we're done. 39 lead changes make it 40 as they cross the line, and Drew Eisenman retakes the lead away from the 56 of Tate Lightle. He's almost pulled clear of the 56, but he can't quite get down in front of him, though. He'll need to get a bit of a bigger run to try that one again.
Johnny Thomas falling in behind, then it's the 6 of Robert Hill Jr. I haven't seen a lot out of him since the beginning of this race. He's back up there. Even Jonathan Cogswell, too, sitting 4th in the inside line. He might be hiding something, maybe waiting for him to make a final charge to the front. Yeah,
the 6 of Robert Hill Jr. certainly could win this race. Remember, he started the night up in 6th place. That is exactly where he runs right now. He just tries to edge into 5th. We know he's capable, but is he stuck on the inside lane? I want to be on the inside if I'm the leader, but if I'm back in 5th or 6th, Finney, and I'm stuck on the bottom. There's nowhere to go down there. But remember, when the white flag waves, that's all fair game, so maybe that's where you want to be. 5 laps to go here at Talladega. Drew Eisenman still trying to nose ahead. Got Mustangs lined up 4 cars deep in the outside lane, and on the inside it's Toyota Camaro, Ford Camaro.
Yeah, and guys starting to make their moves through 3 wide in the back. Franklin going just to the inside of the 27. Frank Sims.
Oh, contact! There they go! Big hit for the 27. Up over on his roof for a moment. Backs into the wall hard. Hinds in it. The 46 of Hanshaw's in it. And they're all torn up in turn 4. And just like that, Jonathan Cogswell's night ends. Race Clark got a piece of it. Kyle Hanshaw's in it. That car is destroyed. And we're going to have a green-white checkered. All started around the 27, as you mentioned it, Finney, and that was 3 wide.
Yeah, and he got turned into by the 75.
We'll look at this in slow motion, and here's the 75 on the outside lane. That's Frank Sims, and they're 3 wide off into the corner, and yeah, the 75 just turns left there and gets into the 27, and this is a huge hit for him, and Hanshaw gets clobbered, and the 27 goes almost up and over on his roof. The only thing that saved him was Race Clark in the 22. See, Corey Lindsay might have gotten a piece of that as well. But this is just an unfortunate circumstance, a 3 wide. The 75 turns off into the corner. There's just not enough room down there for the 75. And look at this, almost up and over. Race Clark must have had a very interesting view. We're going to look on board his view at full speed here. Wow, what an impact for the 27.
Yeah, also another good view to look on board is with Josh Adams.
Let's go back a little farther. Right on board the nose camera here. Wow. Wow. He got a big piece of the 27. He went underneath the 27, and then the 27 went past him backwards and in the air.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It really is a funny situation.
He passed him, and the 27 repassed him while in the air. I mean, I'm sorry for laughing, but that's pretty funny. That almost reminds me, it's almost as funny as Kyle Hanshaw's, not Kyle Hanshaw, Matt Hackathorn's crazy barrel roll at Talladega last year. 27's on board. Wow. That was a violent ride. We'll roll on board the gyro cam here. Oh. And the rest of the field came on through. 22 just pulling into that shot there as they slid down the banking. I want to look at that again in slow motion one more time, maybe from a slightly different angle, maybe from a top. I get a better look at how the 27 got into this mess in the first place. So again, there's the 75 on the outside, turns left. I mean, you could maybe argue the 27 moved over right just a touch, but I think there's too much room to the outside for the 75 not to be using it. Kyle Hanshaw and the 22 got a big piece of it. Corey Lindsay just squeaked through in the 00. We'll run on board Kyle Hanshaw here on the nose of his car as he negotiates this. And unfortunately, his car was also totaled in this mess. And again, in slow motion here, half speed. You can see just up the road, he's got his vision entirely blocked. And right there, the 27, huge impact in the wall, bounces off and clobbers the 46. Now he's going to go up here and tag the 2 car, or he's right behind the 2 car, rather. He's going to get another impact on the front of Richard Hinds as they all pile up in turn 3. What a vicious impact, though, for the 27, and certainly got the ride of a lifetime there in the air. And here it is again. Slow motion, 1/4 speed. And I mean, it goes behind the 95, and then what really speeds him forward is the 22 of Race Clark launching him into the air, backs into the wall, and just a violent impact for Cogswell. So, with that, we're going to jump back forward, back to right now. And we just got... Oh, you know what, Finian? I just noticed. I'm not sure if I'm going crazy or not.
You probably are, but go ahead.
Our lap counter just ticked up 1. I think they implemented, at least with the lap counter, green-white checkered support. I don't know if that did that before or not, but it works now.
What do you mean by that?
The lap counter, it said 3 to go, then for a second it said 4, and then it ticked back down to 3. So it took note that the race has been extended by 1 lap. That's all I'm saying. So, interesting to note. But I know the timing and scoring still gets all sorts of awkward, but we'll see if that that was maybe fixes. I don't think there was an update to ATVO, which is our timing and scoring software, but either way, an interesting note there. So Drew Eisenman sits atop the board. Let's analyze how this restart's going to line up, because Eisenman's been kind of a top feeder tonight, but he's going to restart. If he chooses to line up with his teammate, they'll be on the inside row. Your thoughts on that? How will that affect the end of the race?
Well, that's probably the best situation for him to do. The only problem if he does that is Lytle's going to line alongside or right in front of Johnny Thomas, and those 2 guys are working together in Discord. I'm not sure if the 77 knows it. They probably do. So Lytle will be hooked along with Johnny Thomas. But if he doesn't choose that, then the 14 and the 77 are separated. So He's got to make a choice here. I imagine he's probably just going to pull to the inside, be alongside 14 to Kevin Finn, but we'll see. It's all up to the driver's choice.
So this race is already about to... The next lap will be the end of our scheduled distance here in round 2 of the playoffs. We had 94 laps scheduled, and we are currently on lap number 93. So this, coming to the start-finish line, will start the last lap of our scheduled distance. What about fuel? We should be fine, right? I mean, we've been out. Yeah, we should be good. Top drivers have been out for 16 laps. I don't think we're going to really have... they have another 8 in the bank or so. So that shouldn't be an issue. And that's good that they stayed out. I think that's maybe why they stayed out, finishing a couple laps extra, just to be sure in case there was a green-white checkered. And it turns out that was a good decision to make. Should get the 1 to green this time through, and we do. This will now be a 96 lap race. Yeah, let me just check and see. Yes, the lap counter, they fixed that. Nice.
Hey, nice.
The timing and scoring will still be all backwards probably, but...
progress.
Actually, you know what? I can test that right now. Let's just see. I'm experimenting. Yeah, the timing and scoring still stops, I think.
Oh.
So it still only updates once every lap, which... Oh, wait. There's people... Oh, hey, it works! Yes!
I was going to say, I'd be surprised if they didn't.
It works! I don't know. I'm so thrilled with this. I didn't know. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Nick Thisson and Simon Grossman, for sorting that out, because that drove me crazy that every time we had a green-white checker, the timing and scoring would just stop working. So I didn't even read that in the changelog. So thank you, guys. Awesome.
You didn't read the changelogs. That's where you went wrong.
I just saw they had a gift support and some other fun stuff, and I didn't think to read anything about the green-white checkers. But anyway, I'm super excited about that. Like, more excited than I should be, because it really doesn't matter that much, but it just helps me, especially at plate tracks when the positions change so much. I rely a lot on the timing and scoring to know where people are, and when you don't have it in a green-white checkered, it gets very awkward. So, remind me, we have 1 attempt at this, Finian?
Yes, one attempt and one only attempt at going at this. So if the caution comes out before we get to the white, race is going to be over. If we get to the white, get a race back, and we've seen quite a few interesting races back to the finish line under white flag conditions, with sometimes only one guy getting back there. So we'll see what happens with these guys if they're able to even get to that step.
All right, 2 laps over our scheduled distance. We've got about 5 miles worth of racing left to do. Drew Eisenman leads the way. Tate Lightle on the outside. It's our first and only green-white checkered of the night. Who's going to win it and advance themselves in the next round of the playoffs? Next week, we head to Martinsville to eliminate 6 of our 12 drivers. We won't know who those 6 will be until the checkered flag falls at Martinsville, but you can certainly do yourself a lot of favors if you could win here tonight. Eisenman, Lytle, Finn, Thomas, green flag in the air, and Tate Lightle spins the tires and cannot go. And they better hope they can build up some momentum in the next 5 miles.
Indeed, Eisenman and Kevin Finn get a fantastic start on the inside here, but here comes back Lytle and Thomas on the outside, the top 5 breaking away from the rest of the pack. Here comes Matt Gruenberg in third. Gruenberg trying to pull up to the top side. He's going to form his middle lane, and Lytle and Thomas go to the outside, 3 wide up front.
No one goes with them in that 54, the 56, and 83, pushing hard in the outside lane. Here they come. Tate Lightle on the outside, bringing Johnny Thomas with him, last night's winner in the Truck Series race. Can he win again tonight and pull off the sweep here at Talladega? They're all over the racetrack behind him, everyone trying to scramble to find spots. White flag in the air this time around. Can they make it back to the white flag? If they crash here, the race will be over. Do they make it back?
Oh, and Matt Gruenberg has found his teammate James Miller, and as it comes through the tri-oval and across the stripe, white flags in the air, they got to race it back to the line.
One more time around here at Talladega. Drew Eisenman leads the way. Will he lead again? No, it's actually the 54 Gruenberg that's nosed out in front here as they come on through. And Gruenberg almost gets turned on the back straightaway. How crazy do things get here? There's Chuck Sweeting in the mix. He's back on the lead lap. There's Frank Sims to the outside. Robert Hill Jr. below the line.
Yeah, he's pulled to the inside of Kevin Finn. This is going to get interesting in the turn. Someone's going to have to give room.
Yeah, and he wasn't given room, but he fell back in line. The 54 of Matt Gruenberg noses ahead. He needed a good night tonight after a poor round in Atlanta. 3 wide coming back to the start-finish line. Who's going to get there first? 54, Gruenberg. Eisenman now on the inside below the line, but Matt Gruenberg, with help from his teammates, going to make it 5 wide at the finish, and Matt Gruenberg wins at Talladega. There were 10 cars within 0.3 of a second. There were 7 cars with, actually make that 8 cars within 0.2 of a second. There were 5 within a tenth. How about that?
Remember at the top of the show, I was joking. We saw 4 wide last night. Maybe we'll see 5 wide. And we did see 5 wide coming across the checkers. How about that?
Matt Gruenberg, winner here at Talladega. Played it safe earlier tonight. I don't think anybody would have predicted him winning here this evening. He's a short track king. Been dominant in the truck series. He's been almost as good as the 15 of Frankenfield in the Cup series. But tonight, he's a winner at Talladega. We'll go back and look at that finish here in just a minute. We'll catch the celebrations here. Here's your results as they scroll across the screen. Gruenberg, Miller, Thomas, Finn, Eisenman, your top 5. And how about Chuck Sweeting with a 7th place finish after all that he went through tonight? Pretty wild stuff, Finny. And Matt Gruenberg going to get to celebrate. Not a scratch on that car, except for maybe the rear bumper where the 42 was pushing him to the win. And the One Sim teammates again show their prowess on the plate tracks. How many wins has this guy had this year? It's a lot.
A lot. I think this should be win number 6. Yes, it is.
6th win of the season. And there's the 42 of James Miller doing burnouts with him.
Yep, and he'll and the thing is too, Frankenfield also got 6 after winning last week, so they're tied yet again.
Wow. All right, let's go back and watch this finish. I don't think you could get any more exciting than that. I don't think we expected it to be quite that wild.
Oh yeah, I didn't expect that many cars to make it back to the line, so I was pleasantly surprised with that.
Just take a look at this. Gruenberg and Miller pushing up the middle, the 14 of Kevin Finn, Eisenman down on the bottom. I don't even know how many wide we were, but it was a lot.
Yeah, and actually I think really with Eisenman pulling to the bottom like that, Kevin Finn tried to join down, but I think he realized if he went to push, the 77 would have turned him around. So I think that actually killed the 77's chances of winning this race.
Yeah, Tate Lightle had a run going. It was just too late. Look how far left he pulled. And I think we got 5 there. There was a little bit of overlap, but that was almost 6 at that point. And that was pretty insane stuff. And here's a look at the finish camera. There is too many cars in that shot to count, Finian, but the Frank Sims in the 75, an 8th place finish for him. Chuck Sweeting, a 7th place after being buried a lap down for so long. I'd say that's a pretty insane finish and a pretty solid result for a lot of cars in this field, Finian. Just well done tonight by these guys, by the way. After what was such a shaky race last night, they did really redeem themselves this evening. Again, here's another look at your race results before we head to break to grab our top 3 here. But what a race that was. Drivers that did not have good nights tonight, as they came into the evening, the drivers that needed good nights were Kyle Hanshaw, Carlos Acosta, Johnny Thomas, Sam Close, Lafferty, and Finn. Lafferty a no-show tonight, but the 24 of Acosta, he ended up finishing in 12th, so not a spectacular night. Kyle Hanshaw, 17th for him. That's certainly a disappointment. Nothing he did wrong, just got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. And for Sam Close, he's really in trouble. It's going to be a must-win situation for him next week at Martinsville. We'll jump to break. We'll be right back with your winner. Stay with us. Welcome back live to Sim TV here now with our 5th place finisher, Drew Eisenman in the number 77 Mustang. Led 23 of our 96 laps tonight. Probably had one of the best runs of anybody, Drew, but a top 5, can't be disappointed in that, but are you a little bit after leading so much of that race? Could you have done anything different?
I mean, for sure disappointed, right? I think if you're leading on a green-white checkered and you don't win, I think you're going to be disappointed. But I kind of knew if there wasn't another wreck that the guys behind us were going to team up, get in our draft, and do what they did. Like, that's about what I thought would happen. So thanks to Kevin and my whole team. I think we worked really well together. It was unfortunate what happened to Race, but I think we maximized what we could have done given our circumstances.
It seems like this new aero package, and I know we're sick and tired of talking about this, but it seems that it's made the plate track so much better for the drivers. But talk to us about the runs that you get and how you have to manage the momentum in big packs like this.
I mean, I think it honestly kind of manages itself because the engines get hot so fast that you really can't push for too long. If you get those big runs, you got to make up your mind if you're going to push the guy in front of you, which you can do pretty aggressively, as long as there are cars underneath them. But it wasn't too crazy. I think most guys made responsible choices, but it's definitely really competitive, unlike some of the previous ones that we've seen in iRacing, to be frank.
All right, hey, a top 5 result for you and your number 77 Mustang. Certainly a solid run, some great performances there throughout the race, but a 5th place result. Nice job, Drew. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Moving on next, it's going to be the driver of the number... Who we got next? Yeah, there's Johnny Thomas in the number 83. Hey, we talked to you last night in Victory Lane. Just short tonight. 91 thousandths of a second off of the checkered flag, but you're still going to be pretty happy with that run. Talk to us about your night.
Yeah, just 2 positions off, man. A little disappointed. I always want to win when I come here, and I thought I had a shot. It was just all about that green-white checkered there, with Drew on the inside. The outside lane got backed up quite a bit, and I was just pushing Tate, and there really wasn't anybody behind me, and that was kind of unfortunate. Everybody was in the bottom lane. Gruenberg got up there to make a 3 wide, and he had his teammate. It was a good job by them 2 guys, and I know Drew and Finn wasn't going to leave each other, so it was just me and Tate, and then finally we were getting so pushed back that I had to go another direction, and coming off of turn 4, actually going down the backstretch, I pulled out, tried to make a 3 wide, and Chuck was helping me out, so appreciate that from Chuck, but we just couldn't do it. I thought maybe the guys below me might get in some trouble, but that wasn't the case, and 3rd place, hopefully it moves me up in points, man, but I wanted to win here.
How much tonight was it manufacturer alliances versus teams and just friendships? Was there a thought that you pick a Chevy over a Toyota or a Chevy over a Ford, or was it just pretty much every man for himself if you weren't with the team?
If you didn't have friends out there, it's really hard. I just heard you guys talking. This new package, you have to have somebody helping you, and it's not just one guy; it's multiple guys. And when Eisentech had a race in the mix there, them 3 cars, they were really hard to pass, and you had to break them up. It reminded me a lot of the old style Dega back in the day, and luckily I had a group. I had Josh, and then he got that incident with Kevin there, and then finally Tate got up there, and we were helping each other, and Hanshaw was helping us. We had a good group. It's whoever group can survive the whole entire race is usually the guys that end up winning this thing.
All right, well, last night a victory. Tonight, a 3rd place for Johnny Thomas in the 83 JTR Chevrolet. Johnny, thanks for talking to us. Congrats. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Moving on now to 2nd place finisher James Miller in the number 42, pushing the teammate to victory lane at Talladega. I know you always want to be the driver with the checkered flag, but a second, 56 thousandths of a second behind your teammate's not too shabby either. Talk to us about that restart, getting hooked up with your teammate, and going to the lead.
Yeah, that restart there, I didn't get the jump that I was hoping for. Had a big gap, and just luckily Matt was able to stall out in the middle there. That I got up to him, and we just stayed in the middle and stayed hooked up. I never lifted, and we just kept sailing. And we were expecting a bit bigger of a gap at the end there at the line, but still happy that I was still able to get second too. Because the plan was just to get him the win anyways.
So you talk about that was the plan. Do you guys have an agenda coming into a plate race like this? Because we've seen you guys work together in the past. How much of that plan do you deviate from throughout a race depending on different conditions?
Yeah, like at first we had a pretty solid fuel strategy, and then that mid-race caution came out, which actually did help me out since I went out of, or I exited my pit stop through too many pit boxes and I had to serve that pass through. So that caution did help me out, but it kind of messed up the fuel strategy we had going. But the strategy coming in didn't really change. It was just take it easy up to the end and work together, that we do so well together just to get to the front at the end, and the results show.
James Miller, second tonight, pushing the teammate to victory lane. Another great run for you and the One-Some guys. Nice job, and thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Shout out to Haley Fisher.
All right, sure thing. Thanks, James. We're going to move on now, last but not least, to our race winner, Matt Gruenberg. Always a threat at the short tracks and pretty much every other racetrack, but Talladega is always kind of the crapshoot, Matt. Tonight, did you expect to see yourself in victory lane, or was this a little bit of a surprise for you?
Well, we just try to make sure that all of the cars are there at the end, and we just kind of play the strategy game of hanging in the back to make sure at least we give ourselves a shot to make it to the end and be fighting for a win. So, yeah, I mean, I hoped that we would have been able to avoid all the wrecks in the back and be there at the end to be fighting for the win. So.
Later in the race, obviously, there's every team and every driver has got a time they want to go. So something, maybe a lap number, or looking at the field and trying to figure out when is the best time to go. For your team, what was the decision to start climbing forward in the pack versus laying back?
I think whenever we went green there on that second to last caution, it was about 10 laps to go, and that's about the time that I guess I decided that it was go time for us. So I just told James to just follow me wherever I went, and we were trying to make that outside lane there work 3 wide, but we just didn't have enough cars up there. With just us two up there, it just wasn't enough to get past anyone there on the top. But it did give us a good track position there for the final restart. We were able to line up 1-2 there, and then I was able to kind of move Tate and Johnny up to that third lane while James caught back up to me. And I thought we were gonna made the wrong decision there, staying in the middle. I kind of thought at the last second that we should have went to the bottom, and then we could have protected the apron going through the tri-oval there. But it all worked out for us, and we got the win, and we advanced to the next stage. So we accomplished everything we wanted to.
Well, Matt Gruenberg is not going to have to worry about anything next week at Martinsville. Advance to the second round of the playoffs starting in 2 weeks. Matt Gruenberg, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations on your, 6th or 7th victory this season. You're getting up there in the wins column, so congratulations. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
See you.
All right, Finian, thoughts leaving Talladega? What a wild one this was.
Yeah, indeed it was, especially a fairly clean race, too. Not a whole lot of incidents between guys, but yeah, that was a hell of a finish. Guys coming across the stripe 5 wide. And got to hand it to Matt Gruenberg, no matter where he is. He somehow sneaks his way through to the end there. It actually made up quite a few spots there to make it to the front in those 2 laps.
Well, here's a fun fact for you. Matt Gruenberg won this race. He led 4 laps. So it was not dominant, but he played the strategy just right. Also, 3 cautions for 12 laps of our 96 that we completed. And funnily enough, we had 43 lead changes in 96 laps, which means we were just shy of 1 lead change every 2 laps. Pretty phenomenal stuff here for the 3WideRacing League at Talladega. Certainly redemption from last night. A little shaky in the Inzer Graphics Unreal Tour, but we continue next week from Martinsville, the half-mile I had that all sorted out in my head, and I said Oh, that was a blunder. The paperclip in Virginia, that one next week. Short track. We'll see you later. Have a good night.